Greetings, sailors, and welcome to the Gecko Guild. Those of us who've had the opportunity to sail with a full crew in Sea of Thieves know the struggle of wanting to sail when your crew is unavailable. Some of us have even tempted fate by setting sail in an open crew, where the pirates you meet are unreliable at best and toxic at their worst, with the latter seeming much more common. So, what is a pirate to do when the available options for recruiting a crew are so lackluster? Well, have you ever thought about trying to brave the Sea of Thieves on your own? I know, the idea sounds ludicrous, right? Most new pirates wouldn't even think of this option, seeing it as more of a chore or a risk than a very real possibility. But I'm here to try and sell you on the idea of setting sail alone, and to instruct you on how to survive as a solo pirate. First of all, let's go over some of the main pros and cons of sailing alone. As you could imagine, the cons are fairly obvious. It's hard to control your ship because everything from raising the anchor to controlling the sail length and position is made faster by working with your fellow pirates, which in this case aren't available. Furthermore, you're a lot more vulnerable to the many dangers of the sea, such as skeleton ships, megalodons, and of course, the Kraken. It's also far more difficult to participate in world events like forts and fleets, which are both easier and faster with a full crew, which can make the grind for faction reputation feel like a chore. However, the biggest problem sailing alone comes from the ever-present threat of other pirates, because if you die or get knocked off your ship trying to defend yourself, there's no one else to save you or to help you prevent your ship from sinking towards the abyss. This all sounds overwhelming, doesn't it? Well, here's why you should think about doing it anyways. Solo sailing is, in this gecko's humble opinion, the single best way to improve as a sailor in Sea of Thieves. It's a great way to teach yourself how and when to prioritize different tasks on your voyage by putting you through a trial by fire. Your control over the ship will dramatically improve, as will your ability to combat enemy pirates and world encounters, making you a much more efficient and fearsome pirate who is able to think on their toes. On top of all this, it allows you to play whenever you want, and gives you complete control over what you want to do during the voyage and how you accomplish it. Sailing with a crew is great fun, and is generally safer, but you don't always get to choose what kind of content you play. As a solo player, you can go and complete those tall tales you've always wanted to do, tuck on enemy ships and forts without worrying about crewmates blowing your cover, or explore parts of the game you haven't experienced yet. As a solo player, the world is your oyster if you're willing to risk it. But how do you survive if things turn sour, as they so often do on Sea of Thieves? Allow me to explain. Number 1. Choose the right ship. Before you even start to set sail, it's important that you set yourself up for success by choosing the right tools for the job. You may be tempted to set sail on a brigantine or a galleon for the additional speed, survivability, or firepower, but it isn't possible to take full advantage of these benefits as a solo player because the larger ships are inherently designed for crews of 3 or 4 pirates. This makes all the tasks on larger ships unmanageable without teamwork, which is the major way that Sea of Thieves balances the differing power levels of the 3 ships. Even the sloop is technically more efficient with a fellow pirate on board as a 2-person vessel. However, being on a sloop does at least make tasks far more manageable than any of the larger ship options. I want to stop here for a moment to allow you to think about the layout of each ship. On a brigantine and galleon, all of your supply barrels are under the deck and away from the action. This is also true of your armory, ammo crate, and map table. Furthermore, the brigantine and galleon have multiple sails spread across the length of the ship. The anchor is on the opposite side of the deck as the helm, and all of these things translate into additional travel time between tasks, time spent doing those tasks, and stress on you. Now, let's instead turn our attention to the small and reliable sloop. This is a ship designed with ease and convenience in mind. First of all, your cannon crate is right on deck beside your cannons, allowing you to unleash hell on unsuspecting pirates and restock without delay. Not only this, but even the wooden food crates are easier to access because of the smaller size of the ship, which translates to less travel time. You can even have the benefit of your helm, anchor, and sails being all within arm's reach of each other, which is vital for solo sailing. On top of all this, you also have the fact that taking a larger ship inherently makes you a bigger target, both literally due to the length and size of the ship, making it easier to land cannonball shots on you, and figuratively, since players will often assume that a larger ship would be a much more valuable target. So I implore you, given the chance to choose your ship, make sure it's always the sloop if you're solo sailing. Number 2. Mind your supplies. When you first spawn into a server, your ship is going to be seriously lacking for supplies. While it may be tempting to rush right into your adventure, I would urge you to take a few extra moments at the outpost to rummage through all the barrels for additional cannonballs, wood, and food. On a sloop, you spawn into a server with a meager 20 cannonballs per barrel, 15 wooden planks in the barrel, and 8 bananas per barrel, which is not nearly sufficient. You're also going to want to keep an eye out for premium supplies like cursed cannonballs, fire and blunder bombs, chain shots, pineapples, etc. While your main goal is to just get more of everything, these premium supplies give a distinct advantage that you're going to need as a solo pirate. Depending on the length of your voyage and how quickly you want to start, you may also want to think about purchasing supply and storage crates from the Merchant Alliance, as these will come fully stocked with the most basic supplies and will help restock quickly later in your session. However, these storage crates cost a fair amount of coin and may not be worth it if you aren't anticipating that you'll make back the money from the treasure that you find. Also keep in mind that you're going to need to restock at islands and outposts throughout your voyage, and you should be sure to grab a handful of new supplies from barrels every time you get to a new island. You can also sometimes come across floating barrels you can harpoon to your ship for extra supplies on the go. Lacking supplies on any ship is a serious issue because it leaves you vulnerable, so be prepared for any situation by always staying stocked up. Number 3. Learn to prioritize tasks. In my opinion, one of the most pivotal skills to learn so you can ensure your survival as a solo pirate is how to prioritize tasks on your ship, especially in the heat of combat. A failure to learn this can leave you feeling overwhelmed and panicking when it seems like you need to complete everything at once, leading to poor decision making, which will ultimately get you sunk. So before you panic because the enemy ship is firing at us and we need to fire back, adjust sails, turn the wheel, eat food, reload our guns, and repair the ship all at once, let's take a deep breath and focus on each task individually. Generally speaking, knowing which direction you are sailing and constantly being on the move, especially while you're in combat, is your top priority above everything else. If you're just spinning in circles or ignoring the direction you're going, it's very likely that your opponent will continue to hammer into you with cannonballs, or worse, board you and make any progress you made on repairs completely pointless. This is because it's easy for your enemy to predict your movement this way, and you're much more likely to run into nearby islands and rocks. Your next priority is going to be cannon fire. If damage on your ship isn't severe, then you should be trying to land as many cannon shots on your opponents as possible. Your windows of opportunity to have a good angle to shoot at your opponent's ship are very limited as a solo player, so you really need to make them count. Doing this puts additional pressure on your opponents to repair, especially if you're using special cannonballs like chain shots, firebombs, curse bombs, etc. This lightens the load on you and gives you more opportunity to make decisions. The lowest priority in a ship battle is to bail and repair, unless you're at the point where you're about to sink unless you do. I tend to weave bailing and repairs between all of my other actions. I do this instead of trying to do it all at once to make sure that I'm still keeping on top of all of my other tasks. The water in your ship is getting a bit too high for your comfort? Take a moment to bucket once or twice on your way to get more supplies. The opponent hit your capstan with a cannonball? Land those vital cannon shots first, and then do a quick repair or two while the other crew suffers. Now, with all this being said, ship combat is a messy business, and things like enemy boarders, the mast getting shot down, or a megalodon, skeleton ship, or kraken spawn can throw all of what I've explained into utter chaos. Just breathe, take it one step at a time, and I promise that you've got this. If you can master these 3 tips, then you will become a fearsome and dangerous solo pirate on the Sea of Thieves. And there you have it. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe for more content, and if you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment below. Also be sure to come check out my channel on Twitch where I sail very frequently and can more readily provide tips and advice, and also my Discord server where you can find a whole armada of pirates looking to sail with friends. The links for both of these are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I wish you well on your next glorious gecko adventure.